Hi, Shalom. Double honors to the apostles of GMS. Honors to you brothers that be pushing this truth and sincerity. Alright, for four corners of the earth. This is almost going to be like a follow-up video to the video I did a couple of days ago. Not a couple of days ago, sorry, last night. Alright, concerning the cancer that is in rulership over the earth right now. And as I always say, man, what'd you do with the cancer? You got to burn it out. That's what the Lord's finna to do when he comes back with them chariots. Alright, when he puts that spirit with them Russians, right, with them little nations, alright, like the scripture says, the least of the flock shall draw them out. So when the Most High is gonna do, man, he's gonna eradicate this cancer, man. He's gonna get it right off the face of the earth, okay? Alright, by way of fire. We'll start off with this scripture and I'm gonna get into the topic. Alright. I'm gonna start with the scripture and explain exactly what I'm talking about. So it says Revelation is the 18th chapter on the 8th verse. It says, therefore shall her plagues come in one day. Alright. So all of them plagues, you go into the book of Zechariah, the 14th chapter, rather more, the 4th and the 12th verse. It talks about all the enemies that fought against Jerusalem. Right. And the Most High said that their punishment was that they were gonna their eyes gonna melt in their sockets as they stand up on their feet. Alright. And it was gonna pretty much disintegrate to the raw elements, man, to salt. Right, by way of those ICBMs, those intercontinental ballistic missiles, those nukes, if you want to call it that, those missiles, if you want to call it that. Alright. But the scriptures know it as the judgment of Yahweh Shai against the works of evildoers, man, against the wicked. Right, the heritage appointed unto him by the Most High. It says, therefore shall her plague come in one day, death, mourning, and famine. So now bear in mind famine for a second here, and I'm going to finish this verse off. It says, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire. So the Most High ultimately is going to destroy America. Alright, because that's the her he's talking about here. Alright, that's the she's talking about here. Alright, she shall utterly be burnt with fire. Alright, for strong is the Lord that judgeth her. So when you read the scriptures and it's talking about Babylon, alright, Babylon, alright, the land of confusion. Alright, it's talking about America. That's where all the confusion comes from within the world. I did yesterday, you saw the video of all of that confusion. And I could have brought out this scripture out here. Alright, where it talks about Babylon. You see, that's spiritually known as Babylon, spiritually solid. And spiritually Egypt as well, because the 12 tribes of Israel ultimately ended up there as slaves within America. That goes to show you that it can't be Rome or any other place. Alright. Because there was only at one place, there's only two instances where the whole of Israel has been in captivity underneath the same, well, quote unquote, alright. But in terms of major enslavement, man, two events spring to mind. So the modern time Egypt, alright, is going to be America, because you got the both Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. In other words, the house of Judah, alright, and the house of Israel, which encompasses all the other 10 tribes. Alright. So without much further ado, alright, I'm gonna get into the topic. So this really is focusing on one of those little things, man, one of those little issues that you can almost run past your eye. But remember, the precept I just pulled up, man, the Lord's gonna bring famine upon this earth. Okay? So here's an example of a tiny thing, namely the bee, the honeybee, alright, and the impact that you're gonna see as a result of their depopulation, man. See, this man is so contrary to nature, right? He can destroy, right, and depopulate something as small and resilient as a honeybee, man. That's the devil for you, alright. Now the implications of this might not be explicitly available to the mind, alright, but I'm gonna get into that and you're gonna find out. And really, this should be a shocking story, but you look at this a bee and you don't think about it, man. It's just a bee. That's what you think in your head, but this is a major thing, man. Alright, but you're gonna see as well within the scriptures, man, as a result of this. Alright, I'm gonna quote some of the scriptures, I'm gonna get some of the scriptures, but ultimately this ain't gonna touch this factor, this key factor, alright, which is going to ultimately lead up to famines. It's not going to touch the men of the Lord, because the scripture says, right, ye shall hunger, my servants is going to eat. So it says 40% of the US honeybee population lost over a year, man. Over a year, man. right? Over 1 year, man. This devil has wiped out, for all intents and purposes, a half, right, of honeybees, man. All right. So, that in itself is a headline story, and they got it in the headlines there, but people always forget the implications of something that's seemingly insignificant, man. You take the earthquake out there, man. People say, oh, 8,000 people, man. That's just the start of it, man. That might be 10% of, maybe even less than that, of the implications that's going to happen to the heathens out there in Nepal. You got Jake among them. All right. So people never think about the implications of what's going to happen. And when we say the Most High is going to nuke this place, man, think about the implications of those nukes, man. Right? They say an all-out war, right? With Russia, right? We'll have that. We'll send the Earth into a dark age, pretty much, man. All right, not the dark age that they had in the 1500s. Right? They call that a dark age because the Negroes were in rulership, man. Right, namely the Moors and so on and so forth. But I ain't gonna get into the topic. But you're gonna get into it, man. It's gonna be so bad for you heathens, man. It's gonna be bad, man. All right, it's gonna be horrible. All right, to where the scripture says, man, a man is gonna desire to see another man's face. You know how bad that is. The Most High is keeping your spirit alive. Most High is keeping you from stopping you from killing yourself. All right, and you ain't gonna see another face, man. Right, you're gonna be in these big cities. People pretty much live in these major cities, man. Right, and people live in colonies. You don't see people living out there on their ones and all that, man. You see people living in groups of thousands. All right, you're gonna desire to see another man's face, man. That's badass, man. All right, the Most High is gonna do something heavy within this kingdom. All right, so it says 40% of U.S. honeybee population lost over a year as mysterious die-off accelerates. It says the number of so far unexplained honeybee deaths in the U.S. rose at a significant troubling rate last year, according to a government report. It says the summer deaths have for the first time outnumbered the winter ones, right? So all the ones that died because getting back into your primary studies, all right. If I'm not mistaken, pretty much they go into hibernation during the winter months, all right. Now some of those ain't gonna wake up; they're gonna die off, all right. So this is the first time in the summer when they're supposed to be the most active. And history goes to show you that during the winter, all right, that's the most hardest time, man. A man really back in the ancient time was defined by how many winters he had survived, man. All right, people will tell you about this winter of this year, man. That was one of the hardest winters of all, man. Hey, man, people will raise children, all right, hoping that they'll make it through that first winter. Because and they had to suck it up because if they didn't make it through that first winter, man, they didn't make it. It was that simple, all right? So it says thousands of beekeepers reported losses of 42.1% on their colonies, right, in a 12-month period, all right? All right, it says ended in April. It says according to the annual survey released by a Bee Information Partnership and largely funded by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It says the number is more than double, right? The 18.7% yearly loss that the USD considers to be economically sustainable. All right. So without much further ado, I'm gonna go into the implications. All right. Now this is a nice, simple website. It's on the BBC. All right. You don't have to get into all the sciences and just that and the third about what's going into it. Some of it I'm gonna say from the top. From the history that the science I knew from way back, but pretty much everybody should know about this, man. That's a major thing that's going to lead to a lot of starvation. All right, it says, ever wonder where all the food came from? All right, now that should get that should spark some interest in your mind. It says, where it might surprise you that a significant proportion is provided by bees one way or another. It says, if you look at your plate, right, so you got your chicken, right, you got your rice, right, and all that, man. Right, the gravy and all of that. It says if you look at your plate, right, the bees have played their part, right, either by pollinating many of the vegetables and the fruits, all right, or we eat directly or pollinating the food for the animals that consume it. So even all of them even all the. I mean, I don't know how about grass pollination. I'm not too up on that kind of information, but you know, because that's where all the major food, major meat comes from. All right, but they let you know, hey, pretty much all the food industry is dependent on the bee industry. In other words, man. All right. It says, and that's not all. All right, bees. It says that's not all. All right, bees do for us. It says honey and wax and so on and so forth, other products. Right. It says I'm gonna jump onto this bit here. It says, but honeybees are disappearing globally at an alarming rate due to pesticides. All right, created by who? All right, parasites. All right, as a result of who? And it says disease and habitat loss. Right, as a result of who, man? Esau, man. Right, he is the example of death, man. He is the bringer, he is the harbinger of death, man. This man needs to be taken off the face of the earth, man. Right, it says, and if these insects if these little insects, and if these little insects that help provide so much food, right, vanish, what will we do without them? It says, what bees do for us. It says, what do bees do for us? You can see the illustration here. It says 1/3 of food. 1/3 of food. All the food in the world, 1/3 of it. Alright? Now imagine you had all the meals that you had this week, alright? Imagine you didn't eat 1/3 of those meals, alright? That'll be a nice way to exemplify. Just so imagine how much if you didn't eat that 1/3 was not available. Alright? Technically speaking, your food will go up in prices. I would say 1/3, but it will be more than that, man. Right? Because it'll be a more valuable item. It'll be scarce. It'll be scarce, man. All right. So it says they pollinate 70 types of crops and make. I'm not too interested in that. You can see it, right? But one colony, all right, which contains about 50,000, will pollinate about 40,000 square meters of fruit trees. All right, so your apples and all of that, man. All right, that's all the product of the bees in that, man. All right, I'm gonna jump to this bit, and then I'm gonna close it out. So it says pollination is vital process in the flowering of the plant. Now you can you get a bit of wind pollination, but wind pollination is like leaving a football right in front of a goalpost. And right, that's the chances of the wind carrying it. Now, obviously, there's a lot of pollen, so the chances. So it's like 100 footballs, right? Some of those are gonna hit. Some of those are gonna get in the goal, right? Some of those are not gonna get into the goal. More like 1,000 footballs in terms of scale and in terms of scale and all of that. All right, right. But the bees are more effective pollinating because they go from flower to flower. They ain't gonna miss or anything like that. They just go from flower to flower, get their nectar, right? Pollinate the plant, and then they be gone, man. Right, the job is done. So it says pollination is vital process in flowering of plants reproduction. Right, in other words, the way plants have sex, all right, is they get the pollen, which is the sperm, right, from another tree, right, and that gets carried away. That gets carried to another tree. That's how plants produce fruit. Okay, and like I said, wind, you can get the wind to do that, all right, but the chances are much less, all right. That's why when we saw the graph here, the bees account for about 1/3, man. All right, so it says involving the transfer of pollen grains from another or male part to the stigma, so rather more from the anther, right? Going back into that key stage level of science, man. I remember drawing these diagrams and all of that. All right, back in school, man, when they taught you that, man. But they were on point with this. All right, as far as I can see, right, it says from the anther, right, which is the male part, to the stigma, which is the filament part of the same, right, or another plant, right, of the same species. Now I can't remember whether it's from when it moves from another stigma of the same plant. I don't know if that's like incest. I can't remember that. But certainly you need the bees to participate in fertilizing, like it says here, fertilizing the egg cells, right? And they grow into seeds, right? And you get fruit and all that. So I'm not gonna long it out and bore it out. You can see the pollen there, right? So one way to think about it, man. Lord is badass, man. But he set up these little workhorses, man. All right, they're gonna transport the sperm, right, and take it from one side of the plant to the next side of the plant, man. Lord is badass, man. Lord is bad, man. All right, and here it is. You got the devil, man. He's going take he's going to pretty much come into existence, right? And he's going to take that creation away, man. He's going to destroy that. See, but that's the devil for you, all right. So hopefully, you get the veracity of the lesson, all right. And hopefully, Lord's will, you brothers were edified. I think I might have one more precept. Well, no, that's it. Yeah. So hopefully, you brothers were edified in that. I'm gonna say double honors to the apostles of GMS. Honest, you brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity. Shalom.